Welcome back to Justice. Earlier, I spoke with South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy about whether or not he thinks the CIA interrogation report should have been released, his grilling of Obamacare architect Jonathan Gruber, and about his hunt for answers in the Benghazi probe. Take a look. Oh, to have been a fly on the wall to watch you in a courtroom. Congressman Trey Gowdy from South Carolina joins us now, member of the House Oversight and Government Reform, as well as Judiciary Ethics, and the chair of the Select Committee on Benghazi. Congressman, thanks for being with us. I'm going to start with Gruber and his testimony this week. He is, we agree, he's arrogant, he's condescending. He agrees that, or he says that they wrote the Obamacare law in a tortured way so the CBO wouldn't rate it as a tax, which the Supreme Court ultimately rated it as a tax. So we all know that he's not a nice guy and he's in this for the money, although he won't admit how much money. You're a prosecutor. Fraud here? Perjury here?
Well, I think what's going to happen, if it hasn't already happened, is Chairman Issel or incoming Chairman Chaffetz are going to get those documents. If you recall from the hearing, he really did not want to give us what he considered to be his work product, because he wants to minimize the role that he played in the drafting of the ACA now. But my guess is, if you go back and look at the videos, he was very proud of being the architect, and he may have testified to some things differently before us than what would be contained in some of his documents. So we're going to go back and get those documents. What disappointed me the most, Judge, was he really believes that lack of transparency and being able to fool the voter is worthwhile if you really like the piece of legislation.
I'm going to move on to Benghazi. Now, you're the chair of the Select Committee on Benghazi. The hearings have been going on, and one as recently as this week. There is a new poll out, Congressman, that says that the majority of Americans still want to know what happened at Benghazi, suggesting that they don't already have the answers. Do you think we'll ever get those answers?
I think we will, and I was actually very encouraged by that poll. The numbers are actually going up, which tells me that my fellow citizens have this innate sense that something wrong happened in Benghazi. They just want the politics to kind of stand down and treat it like it's a serious professional investigation. And we have been low-key in terms of drama. There's been very little drama with our committee, but there's been a lot of hard work. And when we produce our final product, it will be the definitive final accounting, and we're going to do our dead-level best to answer questions in a fact-centric, apolitical way, however long that takes us.
And you know what's interesting, you say that there's no drama. I mean, clearly, I remember with some of the other hearings on Benghazi, there was always a lot of drama, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. You've got great people on that Select Committee, a lot of them lawyers, a lot of them who understand how to go through records, how to go through evidence. So can we expect that you will be calling Susan Rice and Hillary Clinton before your committee?
I see no way to answer all the remaining questions surrounding Benghazi without talking to every principal, and both of those folks would be principals. Secretary Clinton was the Secretary of State at the time. She's, I heard last week that well, she's already been talked to by the ARB. We don't know what they asked her. There's no transcript of that. I think my fellow citizens are entitled to see 12 pretty good questioners examine the person who was the Secretary of State at the time. And Susan Rice is inextricably involved in the perpetrating of this mythology surrounding a video. So she's never been before a committee of Congress. I mean, it's clear, Judge, that we were fed a false narrative. And I think that a republic as old and robust as ours can handle the truth as to why we were told something that was demonstrably false in the aftermath of Benghazi.
Very disturbing, very disturbing. And finally, let me go on to the CIA. All right. So, number one, I don't know that there's anything in that report that we didn't already know, but how do you think the rest of the world perceives us or sees us, not just in terms of what was done by the CIA, according to Senator Dianne Feinstein's report, but with our bleeding it all out for the world, saying we want to be transparent? What does the world think of the United States in light of that report?
Well, Judge, I can tell you among the top 10 things that keep me up at night, what other countries think about us would not be on that list. I would think that there would be a little tinge of jealousy that we are a country that can debate issues like this, whereas other countries would never discuss this. They wouldn't discuss it privately, much less publicly. And my guess is our allies are probably thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, which is $40 million, you didn't talk to any witnesses, and the Republicans quit participating. What kind of investigation is that?
But doesn't that speak volumes to you? I mean, you know, it's like you're going to try a case and you're not going to put on the victim, the witness, the eyewitness, or the defendant, but you're going to have a conclusion. I mean, it's absurd, but even more than that, you know, to go out there and bleed all over, you know, what we did and how sorry we are, and we want to be transparent. Are the other countries laughing at us? And, Congressman, let's talk about the allies, where some of these other guys apparently were sent, where some of the prisoners were sent to other countries. We threw them under the bus, like Poland and a few others.
Well, I mean, I do think we ought to be concerned to a certain extent with what our allies think of us, and we certainly never want to do anything to embolden our enemies. But I got to be honest with you. I mean, I am so at peace with the morality and the character of this country that I really don't care what other countries think of us. I care more about what we think of ourselves. And I talked today with Tommy Cotton, who's an incoming senator from Arkansas who served our country with great distinction. And you know, we can debate what torture is. I mean, to me, torture is listening to Mick Mulvaney sing. I mean, we can debate what torture is. What we cannot debate is that this administration uses drones to kill people. So if you were going to give someone a choice between being killed with a drone or having some water poured over your head, which would you pick?
Well, without a doubt, and a very, very clear Congressman Trey Gowdy. Always good to hear you and to have you on the show. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. And coming up, Hollywood.